water bottle in this house at this point.
All right,
Yeah.
it is
Just waiting for an
5:30. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We'll get started. We do have a quorum. It is, sorry, is it 6 of 7? 6 of 7. Josh is not here, but he notified us. Does anyone have any additions or adjustments to the agenda? Sorry, I should have asked Danny, do you want to fill in for Josh?
Either Josh or, so Betsy is.
Betsy is here.
Yes.
So, quorum 7 of 7. My mistake. Did anyone have any additions or adjustments? Okay. First order of business is the consent agenda, approved minutes for October 16th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Get in line, everybody.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Was it Melvin or, no, cool. Melvin was louder, so go with him.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, before we get started on some of the talking points for tonight, did anyone in the audience want to speak? I'm gonna ask every time, I hope someone says yes, but there's no yes. You don't have anything, Sarah? I'll put you on the spot, sorry. All right, we'll move right on to other items, starting with the C building at MVHS.
Tim, you want me to address this, or?
Go for it.
Okay. The several members of the board, along with Superintendent Ambrose, have been working really hard to get donations, lowered prices, and we will be starting a new roof, or replacing the roof rather, on the greenhouse tomorrow morning, starting at about 7 a.m. Tim, along with a team from his company, is my understanding. And then Tim will be back on Saturday. I think that from talking with Tim and his presentation during the, or his conversation during the finance committee, it's hoping for a 2-day evolution to complete it. Strip, do trim and ice and water shield on Saturday, and then shingle, on Friday, and shingle on Saturday. So right now, we've got, the roll-off is on site, all the material is on site. The only thing we're waiting on is a porta potty, and hopefully that got delivered between when I was there this afternoon and when I came here. And Noah, you've got, Linda would like to. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much. We're very grateful for this help, and about 10 o'clock I'll have some Dunkin' Donuts and coffee, and I will provide you with an Andy's menu and ask you all to place your orders, and we will get lunch for you for tomorrow.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So pending questions, or anything that Tim would like to add?
No, I don't think so. We're just, like I said, at the finance committee, we are hoping that the south face of that building is not going to need to be resheathed. But Leah's boss made a donation of just under $1,000 towards sheathing if we need it. So fingers crossed that we don't, because obviously that will add a little more work. But we will be sticking with it until it is over with. If I need to be back on Sunday, I will be there on Sunday. And we will have it all put back together and picked up and done.
It's looking like pretty decent weather.
Yes, it is. Great.
Tomorrow,
It was-
tomorrow and Saturday up in
Yep.
the mid-40s.
Yep.
So, and not super high winds,
Yep.
so that's,
It should be
it won't
perfect.
be super uncomfortable on the roof.
Yep.
I brought my earmuffs. I'm not gonna need them.
You can wear them anyways.
Nah. I just wanted to thank Tim for working with Hammond Lumber to get a reduced cost on the supplies, saved us $750. Leah Ships, her boss, donated $999.99 worth of sheathing if we need it, and then if we need to, we'll pick up some more. And I also wanted to thank Tim's boss for donating 2 workers tomorrow for the day, which is on the agenda for the board. It needs to be accepted by the board because it is over $1,000 donation. And I did let Leah know that we would provide her with a letter so that her boss could write off the donation for taxes, and same thing for Tim's Tim, can you tell me the name of your company again?
Broadcove Builders.
Yeah, Broadcove Builders, so
Yep.
we just thank them very much and everyone involved, and I'll have Leah talk about her boss and their business this evening, but what I just wanna say is that this is the way we build community trust. So the way we build community trust is we find things that we can have common ground on, that we all think need to be done, and then get behind it and get it done at the lowest cost possible, so that when we say to people, we need money for something, they see our effort to move the place forward without asking. The way I like to put it is, I don't wanna hand out, I wanna hand up. And that's what we're showing people, is that we're willing to do what we have to do to get this done. And then when we need things like fixing the non-ADA compliant main office at the high school that I learned more about when I went there with my friend who's an architect last week, that's big work. That's not like volunteers. Now, maybe painting things once they're mudded, we might be talking about volunteers. Goodness knows I'm good with cutting and rolling, I'll be right there with you, but we're gonna get it done. I do pretty good with drywall, but I'm not so, it doesn't look as smooth as when the pros do it. I don't know about you guys, but drywall's an art. So I'm certainly happy to paint though. And so I think that, the other thing is that, I can't express enough what a difference this makes for morale. I have had students and staff and parents say to me, like, thank you for these kids. And so thank you, Tim, you've worked really hard on this, and so has Leah. Really, really grateful for that, and we'll talk more about it at the board meeting. This isn't really an action item, it's just an update.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, that's why I came today, because I wanted to make sure that I was able to have the opportunity to really just say thank you for everybody who's, worked so hard to pull this together, and, it gives me warm fuzzies to know that we can really do something tangible quickly to make a huge difference to that building, so, again, I'll offer my 6.5-year-old son as an apprentice to come to Mail Shingles, and,
I have the waiver for it.
yeah, okay, yes, I'm happy to sign off on any risk. But no, just heartfelt thank you for everything.
Can I just ask, so obviously, as a non-professional builder, so obviously the roof seems like the most important part of this building. And then after that goes on, does that seem like, that'll at least get us through for moving, you go in the building, and obviously a lot of those things we're looking at our, result of, of having inadequate roofing or water coming in, et cetera. Does it feel like once that goes on, and obviously we'll be in much better shape, but does it feel like we'll be able to clean the space up inside to just be in a, in a much better shape for kids to be in
We've
there?
already talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Linda, can you provide an update on what
Yeah.
you shared?
What
Yeah.
I said was, with two knees that are not good, I'm not going to be on the roof.
Yeah,
But I have talked with Ryan about, with the availability of a dumpster or things that, if he could tag things, and even, I don't know how long it will be there, but if we could have some additional time to call and, weed out. Teachers are notorious for hanging on to things for a rainy day, but 60-some odd years of hanging on to things for a rainy day can get a little cluttery.
Yeah.
And so I had said to him, so we're doing the inside too, Ryan, I want you to start tagging things that we can get rid of.
okay, yeah, cool, thanks on that.
Oh, and plus there's a dumpster there, so I think he might add a little to the tonnage.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, might as well do it while the dumpster's right there.
Absolutely.
Anyone have anything else they wanna add on the seed building? If not, Brian, we'll move right on to bus ride.
We've got all 5 buses, deployed with bus right for all 5 Waldeboro buses are currently deployed with, bus right. We're continuing to work through some of the IC crossover information so that we can get parent apps on line. And, so we're continuing to like it. It has been a much harder road for Sarah, not necessarily for me, but for Sarah, because she's been really shouldering the majority of the load on this. But I think that at the end of the day, it's gonna be well worth it. Just not coming as quickly as we had hoped.
I'm just gonna double down on what you said. I'm gonna put you on the spot again, no offense. But Sarah's been doing an insane amount of work building out the information for Bus Right. It's a very robust program, but it's only as good as the information that it's given. And so Sarah is really doing a ton of work to make this happen. I just want to make sure everyone understands that it is not an easy task working with infinite campus, as anyone can attest, let alone trying to move all that information and then build it out even more to make sure that this program, we can get everything out of it we can. So,
And I would also like to add that Ian and Cooper, Ian, could you help me out with Cooper's last name?
Melbourne.
Thank you. Cooper's effort interfacing with Bus Right has been extraordinary. I mean, he has been crushing this thing really hard, so, between Sarah and Cooper, they're keeping things on the run here, so, excellent work by both of them.
just want to make sure you guys know we don't not know that's happening. Thank you. Anyone have any other questions for Brian on Bus Right? If not, we'll move on to the big one, EEI Phase 3.
So, we've got EEI Phase 3 and the bond are somewhat commingled, but we've got funding for the Phase 3. We obviously do not have funding for the bond. Phase 3, what we're looking at, that's gonna be the biomass boiler, and along with, that will open up space in the boiler room for us to be able to upgrade our water treatment system at the high school, as well as our storage capacity at the high school. The big treatment system that we're looking to add is an arsenic treatment. Maine has a lower threshold for their arsenic than the national level is. Just for very round numbers, if it's 1 to 1 billion, they take a 3-month average, and we are pretty consistently at 0.98, 0.99 on the 3-month average. So we haven't gone over the threshold yet, but we are teetering on the edge at all times, so looking forward to getting that upgrade in. And the water storage tank, currently there's a 500-gallon tank, we're hoping to bump that up to at least 1,000. And depending on what happens with the bond, perhaps larger than that, depending on what we do for scope of work. But we did get the newest schematics, they've gotten everything pretty well down. They've interfaced with the state of Maine. I'd say this is EEI that's working on this along with architects and engineers and everything else. So we're moving along, we'll be breaking ground this spring, and unless something really unforeseen takes place, we'll have that up and running for next fall.
Awesome. What other work is encompassed in that Phase 3?
The other big part of that is the generator at Prescott Memorial School. And, we've got the generator, as everybody knows, well, I'm not sure that everybody does know. We actually bought this from a, local school, district last year, a year ago this past summer. And waiting to figure out where we could put it. My initial hopes was to go to Friendship, because they're the ones who, mostly lose power. However, it's a 3-phase generator, and Friendship does not have 3-phase power. So we pivoted, and Prescott, we've run into a few more challenges as far as the switching and the electrical panels and that sort of stuff, but it seems that they've got that remedied at this point. And we were hoping to have that installed this fall, but I think that we're getting too close to the point now to trying to push that through. And I fear that we'd get right in the middle of it, and we'd get a big snowstorm, and then it would start getting ugly pretty fast. Plus, working there when the kids are in the school, I don't think that this is I think it's worth holding off on for until spring or summer, basically.
May I ask a question? Where does the increased sized water holding tank go?
Right in the boiler room?
Right in the that's what I
Because
thought, but I just
the-
wanna make sure.
Yeah, the 2 domestic hot water boilers
Yes.
the 2 domestic heating boilers and the domestic hot water boiler will all be gone.
Okay, and
So-
so it fits all right in there in its current space?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Melvin?
So it's a 3-phase generator, how much output, how much output does, the high school don't have a generator,
They don't.
how much output does the high school, will a three-phase, 100 kilowatt generator run the high school?
I can't remember the answer, I have that information in a file
And,
somewhere.
you know, and does Friendship need 100 kilowatt, or do they need 50?
So Prescott is right at the max, we've got this generator that we purchased from the local school district, is a 40 kilowatt, and that's
Yeah.
just about enough to run, Prescott, with not a great deal left over. But we can run the whole school.
Because I'm finding that, these 100 kilowatt, 125 kilowatt, three-phase generators are cheap, but the switching that you got to have to go with it is where the cost is. And, you know, I'm privy to some of them generators at times. You know, when you can buy a 100 kW three-phase generator for $1,000, pretty damn reasonable. And
In 2021, it was during the COVID, and you may remember this, Melvin, and some of the other folks may as well. We took a look at adding a generator for Madomic Valley High School, and just the switch, and this was 4 years ago probably, just the switch, they were gonna have to build it basically from scratch, fabricate the switch, was over $200,000, and that was 4 years ago, just for the switch. Not including
Yeah.
your propane farm, your propane tank farm, and all the other things that go along with it. So, yeah, I mean, adding a generator into Madomic Valley High School is going to be a capital expenditure.
Yeah, well, it's
I'm
gonna
not
be a
saying it
capital
shouldn't- I'm not-
expenditure, but you know, there's a company, Cato Light down in Massachusetts that supplies generators for banks and schools and everything else, and I've been there, and some of them things are massive. But, you know, the switching, he told me right up front, he says, you can have all the generator there is, but if you ain't got the switching, you might as well not have anything.
That's the problem. One of the things that we have looked at the high school, is getting a generator that would at least keep the IT room online, which Ian will be able to, please correct me when I start saying something dumb here. But, the network in the high school is what runs many of the schools. So when the high school is down, there are several, I think is it Union and Prescott are the only two that are not on the, is that right, Ian, or am I saying that wrong?
Feels close to right.
Yeah, Matt Capisci was here,
Yeah,
he'd
he
be
was
able
here,
to
he'd
give us
tell
a
you-
complete
he'd tell you all.
schematic on it. So, and we've run into that before, with the high school being down and the impact that it has. So that we have certainly, we have taken a look at that, at least to keep that piece going.
I know you said they were kind of intertwined. Did you have anything else as far as the bond status update?
Yeah, so, we've been having weekly meetings, involving, energy efficiency investment, Novo Studios Architect, a couple of other players, particularly, videography companies. Tomorrow, they will be on site, they're gonna be interviewing, Linda, Tom, Danny, Carrie Worms from EEI, me, and Ann Ketterer. Oh, Ryan McNally, thank you, and Ann Ketterer. So Ryan's gonna have to come off the roof at some point.
Yes,
So,
he knows that.
we can do the interview while he takes a potty break.
We're gonna give him
Um,
a
In the porta
umbrella.
potty, in the porta potty, potentially.
Yeah, so we have, one of the challenges, and I think that I spoke to this during our last session, when we were doing the big bond, we were pretty much addressing everything at the high school. Where we're looking at a smaller bond, then the picking and choosing of what gets fixed and what does not get fixed, and how you address those issues that don't get fixed is becoming the challenge, and will ultimately be, frankly, up to the board to decide to some extent. On the 18th of December, that will be the first kind of serious in-process review as far as the scope. Both EEI, Novo Studios will be here, to be able to get a feel on what you're all thinking. And then being able to come back with hard numbers and for the January. And that would be it's December 18th, that's the facilities subcommittee and the full board. And I don't know which day that is in January, that Thursday, I'm not sure which Thursday it is in January, but, those will be 2 months in a row that we'll have a full plate for you all as far as where the bond goes. And also the big part, unfortunately, that we don't know about right now is we have, applied for the revolving renovation loan. That is through the State Department of Education, up to $2 million per project, $4 million per school. We submitted 5 total projects in all, 3 at the high school, 1 at Union, and 1 at Friendship. Ventilation at Union and Friendship, and then at the high school is ADA compliance, water quality, and asbestos remediation and removal. We probably won't hear back on that until just about the end of the year. So we'll be making some decisions on the bond with some information, some unknowns, as part of that. But I would like to say that I'm optimistic, but so far on our 2 previous attempts at the revolving renovation loan, we have not achieved much success.
Is there, and Karen, maybe this is an insight from you too, from all of you guys, just not being on the board or part of having a bond yet, well, in general, when we get the bond and say like if we've got some projects, do we have projects that are overlapping, I assume, with what we've applied for through these like state renovations and then what we wanna do on the bond, and if some things get covered, can we shift things around, is there, you know what I mean, I guess I'm just, for transparency and it being tricky to be able to say what we're using that money for.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
And we'll have a plan for that.
Yeah, okay.
You know, obviously, $2 million in asbestos remediation unfortunately does not chip away very far
Yeah,
on the asbestos.
yeah,
Certainly $2 million on the ADA would get us partway there, but I will tell you, when you walk through, particularly with the EEIs and the Novo Studios and Tom's buddy that we met with earlier this week, it really drives it home at how far out of compliance we are in the high school. Bathrooms, front office, I mean, just everything, water fountains, it just goes on. Doorknobs, for instance, they're all supposed to be latch, not turn handle doorknobs. So it's definitely, there's a lot to fix in that. And the ADA compliance is gonna play a pretty big role. You'll be hearing a lot more about that as part of the bond. So, yeah.
Could I say something again? Is it okay?
Support.
So as far as talking with my staff, we realized that it's going to be not everything that was ever wanted for the improvement of our school, but for our purposes, the asbestos and the things that have mentioned here, the ADA compliance, and then for us, our priorities are the bathrooms, really, the bathrooms and the plumbing, and then the science labs. And we know if that's all we can do, then that's all we can do, but I was at the MPA conference this last week, and schools who have single-use banks of bathrooms with outside sinks and state-of-the-art camera systems have decreased their bathroom shenanigans by tons and tons.
Yeah.
And so it's just hard to sit at a table with principals from all over the state, and education is supposed to be the great equalizer. But to know that because of facilities and so many other things, that doesn't necessarily happen. So I'm sitting at a table with my colleague from just a few miles away, has single-use bathrooms and face recognition camera systems that they can access in minutes to know who was in and out of a bathroom and just get the perpetrators quickly. Then it just cuts things way down, and we just don't have that right now. We don't have the ability to follow. It's really probably only 10 or 15 students throughout the building that maybe even of those 10 or 15, 2 or 3 of them are doing some of the things in the bathrooms that are wrecking it for everybody, but it's just really hard to manage without camera systems. I'm recognizing as I talk to my colleagues across the state that they're really one of the first offenses at controlling behavior in a large facility to have the upgraded cameras. So just for your thought, those are the things that kind of in our minds we prioritize.
And Ann Ketterer, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, you and Ann are communicating frequently.
Yes, we're communicating almost every other day. She's shown me potential diagrams of how to convert our 3 gang bathrooms, which are about 3 stalls apiece for 9 bathrooms, into banks of 6 to 8 single-use bathrooms with sinks on the outside with no walls, and then your camera system is able to monitor. So the biggest problem with a gang bathroom or a multi-use bathroom is that the draw is to perform in front of everybody else who's in there. So if 5 or 6 people are in there, then, hey, look at me do this, and you know, that kind of thinking comes into play, whereas if you just got a toilet and in the little tiny room and you have to come out to wash your hands, like, there's not a lot to perform for, nobody's gonna know. So there's not that desire for performance and shenanigans, is what we've been told. So, and I can see it too. Our single-use bathrooms don't get as much nefarious behavior as the multi-use bathrooms. And so just to continue with that for a minute, we had a substitute who we were able to put on the bathrooms one day, and she was watching one bathroom, kids were signing in and out, and I was in my office and I was looking at the camera, and she was there watching, and there were probably 5 or 6 boys lined up waiting to go in the bathroom, and she turned away and walked probably 8 steps and stuck her head in a doorway of another classroom because something was going on. And those 5 or 6 boys that were standing in line just pushed each other all right in to get in there, and you know, by the time I, you know, leave my office to get down there, like that's just what we're up against. It's just foolishness, but it goes too far because we have old plumbing and old toilets, and things get loose really easily with a little bit of help, and you just can't get there. And we had somebody sitting there monitoring the bathroom. Matt Carlson happened to be in my office, and I was like, look, let's get there, and you know, it's just, but then once you get there, what are you going to do? I can't go in. And how safe is it for him to go in? Because the minute you go in and you catch people doing things, they're like, what are you looking at? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in a bathroom having a kid look at me and say, what are you looking at in this day and age? So it's difficult. We're struggling.
Brian, could I just add one thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to say that, so when Brian, I am pretty good acquaintances with a gentleman who's the head of an architectural firm from Portland. So he came up for the day, or an hour and a half, a couple of hours, with one of his folks that specializes in school projects. And he just kind of said to Brian and I, you know, there are some things with the building that have to be addressed. So wheelchair access, issues with ADA compliance, so there's a lot more to this bond than just like making the building look the way that the teachers make the students feel. Right, because the students have said, we want the building to look the way the teachers treat us. It's not congruent. And that's the most powerful thing that I've heard through this whole process. However, when you can't get to the school counseling office because there's no wheelchair access, we're going to have a major problem soon. So he just said to me after privately, he said, Tom, some of this ADA compliance stuff is not grandfathered, it has to be addressed. So we have to do something about the main office ASAP, right? It's either do it, it's like Dr. Green teaches, do it upstream before there's a problem, and you're way more likely to be successful and have things go smooth than to wait until the waterfall, right? So we wanna work on things upstream, and we're upstream right now. But we have students coming that are in wheelchairs at the lower grade levels, and if we don't address it in the next year or two, I don't mean to be dramatic, I just want you to know that if you don't do it now, you'll be in a point where you have to do it no matter what. And I hate that scenario, right? Part of our job as the stewards of these buildings and the schools is to be aware of what's coming. Having said that, I also think it's really important to recognize that our building has a tremendous amount of square footage. My friend just said, I cannot believe how many square feet you have for the number of students that you have. It's just not laid out efficiently at all. So the whole IA wing that's been converted into special education and art classrooms there's so much, he just was like, cause he's an architect, you know, the wasted space was amazing. So certainly it was worth him to come and visit, and I'm looking forward to hearing more. I will say that so far, I would agree with Linda, the 4 areas that have been identified that are priority but not the only thing is the science labs, the front office situation, the big area that's the industrial arts wing, like what are we gonna do to maximize the efficiency of that space? It needs to basically be gutted and rebuilt. And then you have your bathrooms. So that is the bare minimum to make the building functioning for these kids that are coming in the future. It's important to recognize that the outlets in the electrical system is a huge problem. The kitchen has equipment that they've purchased that they can't use because they literally trigger I've talked to the kitchen staff at least four times. And they can't use their equipment because the electrical system can't handle the load. So I think that it's just, as I dig deeper, I mean, this is like my 5th tour now, and I'll talk about it during my superintendent's report too, to the full board. I just want you to know that like, we're just it's like peeling back the layers of an onion, we just keep we're getting closer. And I think the debate before us is, how far do we wanna go? My friend just said to me, he doesn't think that we need necessarily more space. We need to use the space that we have effectively. That doesn't mean that we don't need to kind of kick out the front office some. I don't know if that's a need or a want yet, I need more information. But be aware that like the entrance is kind of funky, and to get everything to work is going to be a little tricky, so I'm just trying, what I told the Warren Select Board is, I'm not asking you for wants. I'm asking for needs. And the needs are based on the number of students that will be there that are currently in grades 1 through 5. Right? So you think about their needs, like because the school population is decreasing. And so we have to be cognizant of the fact that square footage wise, we're probably a little bit oversized, but it's so poorly laid out that it's not efficient at all. So I think that if we work hard, we'll be okay. But I just wanted to impart to the select folks that, again, we're gonna ask you for what we need right now, but that doesn't, what I wanna remind people of is that it doesn't mean that there won't be a future need too. Like if we do it in smaller chunks for a certain amount of money, then that's a really good strategy to have it like digestible, right, as we move forward. But it doesn't mean that if this bond passes that that's the end. It's really, I need people to hear that that's probably the start. If you have to replace all the windows in that building, that's another project, right? If you really want to deal fully with all of the asbestos eventually, that could be another project. And one thing that Tyler talked about and Brian had already been thinking about, thank you Brian for this, I hadn't thought of the fact of like trying to time things as our debt service comes off for other buildings. So we should talk about a warrant article now, but then talk about another one when the debt service comes off for the middle school. So you're not increasing you're keeping your tax rate level, but you're still improving your facilities. So we want to think about that kind of like just keeping the ball rolling over time. And I just can't stress enough to people that if we model for the community that we come together, despite any differences that we have as people for these kids, for these facilities, it sends a message, a very strong message that permeates the culture all the way from the administration to the teaching staff to the kids. that we care about everybody that's working here. So just fixing this little roof sends a message. But making a huge adjustment to the high school sends a message that we're willing to do something as long as it's, the way the Warren Selectmen put it to me was, just tell us what you need, not what you want. And that's what we need to tell people right now. Doesn't mean that we don't want other things, but let's focus on the needs. Is that, Brian, we had a great conversation, I enjoyed that a lot, and I learned a lot on this week when we did this tour with my friend. You'll probably see him again. We're gonna need an architect as we move forward, but we'll do bids for that, so,
I was just gonna ask how the Warren meeting went with that.
very well. Yeah, I'd rather Rick was there, I mean, I don't know anyone, Julie was there. Well, the first thing, Nicole, that I loved was that Tim, Rick, and Julie I'm sorry, not Tim. Randy Casa, Rick and Julie and I showed a united front to the Warren Select Board that we are trying to be reasonable and judicious about this, and that we need their help to get it done. This is not, there's no one of us can do this alone, it has to be a united together thing to get this done for kids. And they responded to that. I think that they appreciate all the efforts that have gone on, and they feel that doing this in smaller chunks would be beneficial. And Rick, feel free, did I miss?
No, that was it. They just wanted to make sure that, whatever bond that we do offer is something that will be digestible and what's really needed by the school and the community, so.
Does anyone else have anything that they wanted to add? Pending anything else, Brian? It is 6:07, we are adjourned.